Hey there, welcome to No Limits. Pull up a chair, let's explore together.
We're always striving for that perfect work-life balance. But what about our sleep? Today, we're taking a deep dive into sleep quality. And no, I don't just mean logging more hours. We're talking about making those hours really count.
Sleep, right? It seems so simple, but there's actually a lot going on behind the scenes.
I was actually surprised by some of the things I learned while prepping for this deep dive. For instance, did you know there's actually an ideal temperature for sleep? Like, our bedrooms should be between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. I always thought warmer was cozier.
It's true, and there's actually a fascinating reason for that. You see, it all ties back to our circadian rhythm, which is basically our body's internal clock for sleep. When your bedroom is in that cool range, it helps your core body temperature drop, which signals to your brain that it's time to wind down.
It's like a signal to your body like, hey, time to sleep.
Exactly. And it's not just temperature. Those afternoon naps, they can actually mess with our sleep more than we realize, especially later in the day.
Really? I thought naps were supposed to be good for you.
They can be, but timing is key. When you nap, especially later in the day, you're triggering the release of melatonin, which is the hormone that makes us feel sleepy.
So if you're releasing melatonin at like 3 p.m., does that mean you won't be sleepy later?
Exactly. It can throw off your natural sleep-wake cycle, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep at night.
Wow, that's actually really interesting. I'm definitely guilty of the late afternoon nap binge. But it sounds like we need to be more mindful of these little things that can impact our sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even small changes can have a big impact. So are you ready to dive into some of those changes, some strategies that can make a real difference?
Let's do it. I'm ready to transform my sleep.
Great. And the good news is it doesn't have to be a complete overhaul. Small tweaks can go a long way.
I like the sound of that. So, where do we start?
Well, let's start with the foundation, a consistent sleep schedule. It might seem simple, but it's crucial.
I've heard this before, but I've always struggled with it, especially on weekends. Why is it so important?
Think of it like this. Every time you go to bed and wake up at different times, you're confusing your internal clock. But when you stick to a schedule, even on weekends, you're training your body to recognize its natural sleep-wake cycle, and that makes a huge difference.
So, consistency is key. It's like anything else in life, I guess. Practice makes perfect, right? What about the sleep environment? What can we do to transform our bedrooms into sleep sanctuaries?
Yes. It's all about creating a space that promotes relaxation. And a big part of that is minimizing disruptions. We already talked about temperature, but light and noise are huge too.
Okay, so like blackout curtains, earplugs, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Those can be game changers. Even a small amount of light can interfere with melatonin production. And if you're a light sleeper, those little nighttime noises can really add up.
That makes sense. I know I've definitely been kept awake by those random creaks and things that go bump in the night.
It happens to the best of us. And speaking of things that can disrupt our sleep, let's talk about blue light.
Okay, blue light. We all know we're supposed to ditch the screens before bed, but tell me why. Why is it so bad?
So blue light from our phones, tablets, even energy-efficient light bulbs, it messes with our brains. Basically, it tricks our brains into thinking it's still daytime.
Oh, interesting. So our brains don't realize it's time to sleep.
Exactly. And this suppresses the production of melatonin, which, as we've discussed, is that crucial sleep hormone.
So it's like a double whammy. Our brains think it's daytime and we're not producing enough melatonin. No wonder we can't sleep.
Exactly. It's all about understanding how these things work together.
This is fascinating stuff. So how do we combat this blue light dilemma? Aside from the obvious, throwing our phones in a drawer at 8 p.m., which I'm not sure I'm ready for.
Well, you could try blue light blocking glasses or using the night mode settings on your devices.
Oh, right.
But honestly, the most effective thing is simply minimizing screen time in those last couple of hours before bed.
Easier said than done, right?
Yeah,
But I'm hearing you, consistency is key. And so is setting ourselves up for success.
exactly. It's all connected.
Speaking of setting ourselves up for success, let's talk about bedtime routines.
Yes, bedtime routines, they're not just for kids.
What makes a good one and why is it so crucial?
It's about signaling to your body and mind that it's time to transition from those daytime activities to a state of rest. And the best part is, you can customize it to fit your preferences.
So what kind of activities are we talking about here?
Think about things that help you relax and unwind. Taking a warm bath or shower, reading a physical book, not a tablet, listening to calming music, or even some gentle stretching.
I am all about a hot bath before bed. There's just something so soothing about it.
There's actually a scientific reason for that.
Yeah.
When you take a warm bath, it raises your body temperature slightly. Then, as you cool down, it signals to your brain that it's time to sleep.
Wow, I had no idea there was science behind it. It's amazing how much goes into a good night's sleep.
It really is.
So we've got our consistent sleep schedule, our optimized sleep environment, and our relaxing bedtime routine. What about the role of food and drink? Does what we consume before bed really impact our sleep?
It can, definitely.
Mm.
Just like certain foods can give us an energy boost during the day, others can interfere with our sleep. Caffeine and alcohol are big culprits here.
Okay, so no late night coffee runs, I'm assuming.
Probably not the best idea.
But why? I think we all kind of know that caffeine keeps us awake. But what's the science behind it?
Caffeine's a stimulant. It blocks certain chemicals in your brain that promote sleepiness. And here's the thing, it can stay in your system for hours.
Seriously.
That afternoon cup of coffee. It could be the reason you're tossing and turning at midnight.
Wow, that's wild. I never would have thought about it like that.
And alcohol can be tricky too. It might make you feel drowsy at first, but it disrupts your sleep later in the night, especially REM sleep, which is the deepest, most restorative stage.
So even though you fall asleep quickly, the quality of sleep isn't as good.
Exactly. So you might wake up feeling groggy even if you slept for a full 8 hours.
So much for that nightcap. Okay, what about food in general? Any recommendations?
It's best to avoid large meals close to bedtime. Give your body a couple of hours to digest before you hit the hay. And if you need a bedtime snack, keep it light.
Like what? Give us some ideas.
A small piece of fruit, a handful of almonds, even a few crackers with some nut butter.
Those actually sound pretty good.
Right. We've been talking all about setting ourselves up for sleep success, like with our environment, our routines, even what we eat. But what about those nights when you're just lying there staring at the ceiling and sleep just feels impossible? Oh, those nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all been there. It's like your brain suddenly decides it's time to replay every worry and to-do list item you've ever had.
Tell me about it. It's like my mind turns into a greatest hits album of all my anxieties right when I'm trying to wind down. So is there anything we can do in those moments, like any tricks to coax our brains back to sleep?
Well, there are some specific relaxation techniques that can be really helpful for shifting from that state of anxious wakefulness to a more relaxed, sleep-ready state.
Okay, yes, give me all the sleep ninja techniques. I'm ready.
One that I find really effective is called the military method. Now, I know that sounds kind of intense, but
A bit, yeah.
it's actually very simple. And it all starts with systematically relaxing your body, working your way down from your head to your toes.
So like tensing and releasing different muscle groups. I think I've heard of this.
Exactly. You start by relaxing your jaw, your forehead, even your eyelids, and then you kind of move down your body, tensing and releasing each muscle group all the way down to your toes.
It's like giving yourself a mini vacation, one muscle group at a time.
I love that, yes. And by focusing on these physical sensations, you're giving your mind a break from all those racing thoughts that tend to keep us up at night.
That makes sense. It's like distracting your brain from those worries. What about breathing exercises? I've heard those can be helpful for sleep too, right?
Absolutely. There's one called the 4-7-8 breathing exercise. It's incredibly simple, but really effective. Ready? You inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4.
4.
Hold your breath for a count of 7.
7.
And then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8.
8. Okay, got it. So 4, 7, 8. It seems easy enough. What makes it work so well?
It's all about slowing down your heart rate and calming your nervous system. By focusing on your breath, on that rhythm, you're basically hitting the off switch on your body's stress response.
It's like telling your body, everything's cool, we're good here, time to relax.
Exactly. And the best part is these techniques are free. You can do them anywhere, anytime.
No excuses not to give them a try. So we've got the military method, the 4-7-8 breathing. What other sleep tricks do you have up your sleeve?
Well, another one that can be really powerful is guided imagery.
Guided imagery. Okay, what's that?
It's basically like a form of focused daydreaming. You choose a peaceful, calming scene. Maybe it's a beach, a forest, a cozy cabin in the mountains, and you just really immerse yourself in that scene.
Okay, so like instead of replaying that stressful work meeting in my head, I could be mentally transported to like a beach in Bali.
Exactly. And the key is to engage all of your senses. So as you're visualizing that serene scene, Try to feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, hear the gentle crashing of the waves, smell the salty air. The more vivid you can make it, the more effective it'll be in calming your mind and kind of lulling you to sleep.
It's like a mini vacation for your mind. That's amazing.
Right.
And speaking of things that feel like a mini vacation, I'm a big fan of curling up with a good book before bed.
Me too. And there's a reason why I always say a physical book, not an e-reader or a tablet.
Right.
Reading engages your mind in a way that's both stimulating and relaxing. It gives you something else to focus on besides the day's stresses, but it also allows your mind to gradually unwind.
Plus, no blue light exposure before bed.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
I like it. So we've talked about calming our minds, but what about the physical space? What can we do to really make our bedrooms those sleep sanctuaries?
Yes. This is key. We've touched on some of these already, but they're worth repeating. First, make sure your bedroom is cool, dark, and quiet. We talked about temperature, but that darkness factor is huge.
Blackout curtains are my new best friend, I'm telling you.
Yes, love it. Even a tiny bit of light can mess with your melatonin production. So, blackout curtains, an eye mask, whatever you need to really commit to that cave-like darkness.
I'm all about that cave life if it means better sleep.
Right. And then don't underestimate the power of a quiet sleep space. If you're dealing with noise, earplugs, or a white noise machine, it can be really helpful for creating a more consistent, soothing sound environment.
White noise is amazing. It's like a lullaby for my brain.
Uh,
What about things like bedding? I mean, surely our mattresses and pillows make a difference, right?
oh, absolutely. A comfortable and supportive mattress is crucial. And don't skimp on soft, breathable sheets, a cozy blanket. It's about creating that haven of comfort that makes you actually excited to get into bed every night.
It's like creating your own little sleep retreat. I love it. So we've talked about our bedrooms, our routines, even techniques for calming our minds and bodies. Anything we're missing? Any final pieces to this sleep puzzle?
Well, there's one more big one. Managing stress and anxiety.
Ugh, those two. They really are silent sleep saboteurs, aren't they?
Totally. When we're stressed, our bodies pump out cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And cortisol can really wreak havoc on our sleep. So finding healthy ways to manage stress during the day can make a huge difference in how well you sleep at night.
It's like a ripple effect, right? Stress during the day leads to restless nights. So how can we better manage that stress?
Well, there are so many different approaches. Regular exercise works wonders for stress relief,
Yeah.
as do mindfulness practices like meditation or yoga. Even just spending time in nature has been proven to lower stress levels. And sometimes it's just about carving out a few minutes for yourself, to read, listen to music, whatever helps you feel grounded and centered.
I am a firm believer in self-care. Sometimes it's a face mask and a bubble bath. Sometimes it's just giving myself permission to take a break and just breathe.
Exactly. It's about listening to your body and giving yourself what you need.
So we've covered a lot. We've talked about creating a sleep-friendly environment, a consistent sleep schedule, calming our minds and bodies, and now managing stress. Is there anything else?
Well, there's one more crucial aspect of sleep that we need to talk about. Nutrition.
Okay, let's dig in. We briefly touched on caffeine and alcohol, but tell me more. How does our diet actually impact our sleep?
It's all connected. It's
Mhm.
not just what you eat right before bed, it's what you consume throughout the day that can impact your sleep. For instance, eating a large, heavy meal too close to bedtime can really interfere with sleep because your body's working so hard to digest that food.
I've totally been there. It's like my stomach is having a dance party when I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah,
Not fun.
right. And remember how we talked about certain foods containing tryptophan?
Tryptophan. Yeah, that's the amino acid that helps our bodies produce serotonin and melatonin, right? Those sleep superstars.
Exactly.
So you're saying that incorporating more tryptophan-rich foods into our diet can actually help us sleep better.
Exactly. You're giving your body what it needs to produce those sleep-inducing hormones naturally.
Okay, I'm convinced. So which foods should we be eating?
Think turkey, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy, nuts, and seeds are all good sources.
So basically, it's just about eating a healthy, balanced diet, which, as we've learned, is important for basically every aspect of our health.
It all comes full circle.
This is all such great information. It's like I need a sleep journal to write it all down. You know those nights where you've tried everything and you're still staring at the ceiling?
We've all been there. It's the worst.
It's the worst. So what can we do in those moments?
Okay, so one technique that's surprisingly effective is called the cognitive shuffle.
Cognitive shuffle. Okay, that sounds a little intimidating. I'm not going to lie. What is that?
It's actually super simple. You pick a random word, any word will do, and then you just try to think of as many words as you can that start with each letter of that word.
So, like, if my word was sleep, I would go sun, star, sky, like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it might seem a little silly, but it can really help to quiet those racing
It's
thoughts.
like a word game for your brain to distract you from everything else. I like it.
Exactly.
Ah.
Distraction is key. Another one is visualization. Close your eyes and really try to vividly imagine yourself going through your bedtime routine, getting into bed, and falling asleep.
So we're tricking our brains into thinking it's already happening.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay. Any other tricks up your sleep expert sleeve?
If all else fails, there's always counting sheep.
Does that really work?
It does. It's all about that monotony. It helps to kind of lull your brain into a state of relaxation.
I'm willing to try it. Okay, so those are some great tips. But before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of those 10 additional tips for falling asleep faster, just to make sure everyone's got them.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've got mindfulness meditation, limiting caffeine after 2 p.m., a warm bath or shower an hour or two before bed, avoiding those late night snacks or meals, and creating a dark, sleep-friendly environment. What else?
Regular exercise is huge, but try to avoid intense workouts close to bedtime.
Right, tire yourself out, but don't like get yourself all amped up right before bed.
Exactly. Also, writing down any worries or to-dos earlier in the evening can really help to get them out of your head.
Oh, that's a good one, like a worry journal. I like that.
Yeah. Make sure your bedroom is a comfortable temperature. We talked about that ideal range earlier. And of course, stick to a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends.
It always comes back to consistency. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. I've learned so much. Thank you so much for all of these tips and insights.
Of course. Glad I can help.
And to everyone listening, we hope you're feeling empowered to prioritize your sleep. Remember, even small changes can make a big difference. Sweet dreams, everyone.